Welcome inside to our lovely digs here at League Unlocked. My name's Eric. Thank you very much for joining us today. We are only a few days away from the epic, and I mean epic, semifinal tilt between EU and NA, the most important matchup in the history of Western League of Legends, Fnatic versus Cloud9. But before those semis get underway, I mean, what better way to get even more hyped up for that match than to look back at the team's history, their head-to-head matchups, because that rivalry is the best NA versus EU one that we have. Sure, you got TSM G2, that's been interesting, exciting. CLG EU versus CLG was never really a rivalry. It is Cloud9, it's Fnatic. It is the EU versus NA rivalry. And of course, it all got started way back in 2013, Season 3 Worlds. And if you remember the format way back then, Cloud9, because of their performance at All-Stars for NA, they had a bye right to the quarterfinals. So their first match of the entire tournament was against Fnatic in that quarterfinal matchup, and 3-game set. Wasn't best of 5, just best of 3. It was in NA, so home crowd advantage for the boys from Cloud9. They got out to an early lead in game 1, but they eventually would go down. And of course, by the way, the only member who has played in every single one of the Fnatic Cloud9 games is Sneaky on C9, because Reckless was not on this Fnatic roster in 2013. Of course, it was Pushu who came in as the AD carry because Reckless was too young to play. He could have played at the tournament, but they had been playing with Pushu for like the entire split. Game 1 was Xpeke's Kassadin absolutely popping off, and then Cloud9 came back. They bounced back in a back-and-forth game 2 to tie things up. And in that third game, of course, who could forget? They again do not ban the Kassadin. Level 1 goes horribly for the top seed from North America. Meteos gets a cool Baron steal, but it doesn't matter because Fnatic absolutely roll over Cloud9 in that third game. And yet again, it was a triple kill to close it out for Xpeke's Kassadin in game 1, running it back in game 3. This time, he eventually closes it out with a quadra kill. Cloud9's top seed only plays 3 games at Worlds 2013, and everyone heavily criticizing the boys for not banning Kassadin in game 3. Not only was Kassadin a busted pick, as he has been throughout countless metas of the competitive scene, but Xpeke, it was one of his most well-known champions, one of his big comfort picks. You remember, he's got an entire play named after him on that champion. Cloud9 decide not to ban it. Of course, there was only 3 bans way back in 2013. So Fnatic wins round 1, or matchup number 1 for Cloud9. And by the way, the teams head-to-head are actually 8-5 in favor of Cloud9, but it was Fnatic coming away with the victory in the first one. So we roll on to 2014 with the rivalry. It wouldn't be too long before Cloud9 could get a shot at vengeance redemption against Fnatic in the Battle of the Atlantic, which was EU versus NA. It was basically Rift Rivals before Rift Rivals existed, but Cloud9 and Fnatic matching up in that one. And game 1, right away, first pick, Cloud9 grabs Kassadin. They say, we're not letting you get it again. This time it's high on the champion, and it turns out pretty much any pro player can play Kassadin to a pretty darn high level. This is when his Rift Walk had a disgusting range. They've nerfed it multiple times, but it was this time Cloud9 who got the champion, and they win game 1. And game 2, they got a pretty sizable lead as well. It was a 2-0 sweep for Cloud9 in a little bit of redemption, although Battle of the Atlantic, not quite as important a tournament as Worlds is, but nonetheless, Cloud9 will take it. Then they meet again at the IEM Katowice World Championships the same year. This was an amazing series. Xpeke's LeBlanc has a fantastic play to turn around game 1 and put it in the favor of Fnatic. And then game 2, it was Cloud9 bouncing back in full force. You have this one combo by Xpeke, or not Xpeke, excuse me, High on the AP Gragas, which was a staple pick in the mid lane. Thank God we're not dealing with that anymore. He literally 2 shots Reckless with the ulti and the Q. Just some fun and interactive gameplay. It would be Fnatic who gets the last laugh in this one. They would take game 3. A back and forth series, but Fnatic pretty convincing game 3 win. This was in the semifinals of the tournament, by the way. Fnatic advance to the finals where they would lose to KT Bullets. And then they met yet again in 2014, this time at the All-Star event in Paris, so on European home soil. But it's Cloud9 who gets the win in the group stage. They finished 3-1 in the round robin. And by the way, this is when Link was in the mid lane for Cloud9 because Hai was dealing with his collapsed lung. So it was Link with them throughout the entire tournament. They go 3-1 in the group stage. Fnatic went 1-3, but still got through to the group stage. Cloud9 lost to OMG 2-0. Fnatic would lose to SKT. So far the theme is Cloud9 wins these somewhat meaningless matchups, whereas Fnatic has won Worlds and an IEM matchup. So definitely getting the better of the head-to-head. And then we jump forward again to 2015, the World Championship. And this is the year where Cloud9 has some roster changes. Incarnation's first split with the team. They struggle. They're sitting near the bottom of the standings. Then they do the Miracle Gauntlet run with Hai coming back as a jungler this time. They go to Worlds as massive underdogs because for the majority of 2015, they were not a very good team. And this is the Fnatic squad that went to MSI, went toe-to-toe with SKT, 18-0 in the EU LCS. So a huge mismatch on paper. And if you recall, 2015 was the Juggernaut era at Worlds. So you had the likes of Darius, Mordekaiser, Gangplank was popping off. Everyone said balls, he's Diamond 2. They're memeing about his solo queue rank, but it doesn't matter when he gets the Dunk Master. This is the game where he gets a pentakill, and Cloud9 started their 2015 Worlds run with a 3-0 immaculate start to the group stage, while Fnatic struggled a little bit. You're a little bit, oh boy, the 18-0 squad from the EU LCS not looking so good. When they met up the second time, it was a complete dismantling of the Gauntlet winners from North America. Fnatic completely destroyed them in the rematch. They would eventually finish first in that group, and Cloud9 heavily contributed to the infamous 0-10 week for North America. They had to win one single game to get out of group stage after the 3-0 start, but they go 0-4 on week 2, including a tiebreaker to AHQ and that somewhat embarrassing but also expected loss to Fnatic. So really, Fnatic again gets the last laugh in this matchup because they got out of that group stage, and Cloud9, it's the one time at the World Championship that they did not get out. So yet again at Worlds, it's Fnatic taking down Cloud9. They did not play throughout 2016 because Fnatic was kind of on a downward trend. And then in 2017, they meet yet again. And it's basically at the Battle of the Atlantic circa 2017, the first installment of the EU versus NA rivalry. It's Rift Rivals. This one was in EU. And if you recall, this is the year that NA completely destroyed EU in that matchup. They sent TSM, Cloud9, and P1 against Fnatic, the Unicorns of Love, and G2. And Cloud9 looking to destroy their former rivals. It's been a while since they met up. Very different rosters across the board. You had Impact and Contracts and Ray for C9. And, you know, this is when you had Caps and Broxa for Fnatic. But it was a double round robin. Game 1 went the way of Cloud9. And the theme of this rivalry continues. The meaningless or close to meaningless events are when Cloud9 comes out on top. They 2-0'd a Fnatic in this matchup. Cloud9 was actually the worst performing NA squad at this event, which was pretty surprising considering P1 came in as one of the worst teams in North America. But Cloud9 2-0's Fnatic in Rift Rivals 2017 to get vengeance from 2015 Worlds 2 years later. Not really at all. I said the head-to-head in this rivalry is 8-5 in favor of Cloud9, but Fnatic has won all the meaningful events. They won the Worlds quarterfinals in 2013, they won the semifinals at IEM Katowice in 2014, and they got out of groups in 2015 Worlds. So maybe Cloud9 has won more games in this matchup, but Fnatic has won the games that truly matter. And boy, do the semifinal matchups on the weekend matter a whole lot. This is the biggest, highest stakes EU versus NA rivalry that we have ever seen. Usually, it's just a tiebreaker to even get out of groups. You look at TSM Misfits or Liquid Fnatic at MSI this year, but this is semifinals. This is for a berth at the World Championship Grand Finals. So far and away the most important game of this storied rivalry. It's been a while since they had such a meaningful game. It's been 2015 group stage because, again, Rift Rivals is kind of made up. So if you look historically, Fnatic should be favored, but pretty darn different rosters across the board. It's going to be hyped. Get excited for semi-final action this weekend. Hello all you beautiful people and welcome back to League Unlocked. The All-Star Tournament is still over a month away, but for some reason, Riot decided to conclude all the voting while Worlds 2018 is still going on, but nonetheless, we're left with 2 All-Stars as voted by the fans in every major region. And starting off in Europe, where if you remember beforehand, Reckless said, don't vote me in. I want other people, I want my teammates to get a chance to go to this event. Really, he probably just wants a break and doesn't want to go to a meaningless event. But nonetheless, the fans voted Caps and Reckless in as the fan vote. As you could expect, they're the most popular players right now. But because Reckless, it sounds like he's going to be stepping down, which would bump up the 3rd highest vote tally in Broxah, his other Fnatic teammate, and they said they've already discussed it, so it sounds like it'll be Broxah and Caps going. 2 definitely deserving players to go there. I'm surprised you don't see Perks there in the top 5. I'm glad Jizuke got so many votes. Yankos is just a fan favorite. He's a hilarious dude, so not surprised he got so many votes, but it looks like Caps and Broxah heading for Europia land at All-Stars 2018. And that's a pair you can get excited about. Over to North America, where pretty much every year it's a staple duo that's going Doublelift and Bjergsen pretty much every year, regardless of results. But wait, not the case this year because only 2 are voted in. Doublelift is going, no surprise there. Even though Liquid didn't get out of groups, he had a fantastic year for NA. He's definitely deserving of going. Sneaky comes in as the 2nd vote. And you can see how close it is here between Licorice and Bjergsen for that final spot. Jensen also getting a lot of acknowledgement. Not a huge surprise to see Sneaky in there. And you got to imagine one of the main reasons is because SKT's Bang said if him and Sneaky are both representing at the All-Stars in 2018, they might do a duo cosplay of Xayah and Rakan. So no doubt that is feeding into a lot of the extra votes that Sneaky got. And he held up his end of the bargain. He's going to All-Stars 2018, which means it's up to the fans from Korea and the LCK to vote in Bang from SKT for the cosplay dream to stay alive. And they delivered on that facet. Of course, Faker is going. Look at that vote total. Absolutely disgusting, but not surprising there. And you look at the top 5 overall, by the way, 4 of them were not present at Worlds 2018. Clearly a little bit of salt from the LCK fan base that none of their teams advanced to the semifinals. So no Worlds representation in the top 5 from Korea. But Bang is a genius, a marketing genius. Clearly he just wanted to go to All-Stars 2018, so promised this cosplay with him and Sneaky, and it got him enough votes to go there. He still had a decent season, but for SKT not qualifying for Worlds for the extremely lackluster 2018 that they had, the fact that the 2 representatives from Korea going to All-Stars 2018 is pretty hilarious that it's 2 SKT members. Sneaky has already, it sounds like this cosplay might not actually happen because Sneaky's girlfriend says he's never wanted to do a Xayah Rakan cosplay, but after voting both of them in, I don't think they can disappoint the fans. They must do that cosplay. The final All-Star vote came in the LPL, and no surprise, Uzi in at number 1. But number 2 is MLXG. What? Karsa even started way more games and looked like the better jungler. So we don't even have the best jungler from his team going as a representative for the All-Stars 2018. Not a fan of that pick, and the fact that Xiaohu has way more votes than Rookie. Rookie barely 6% of the votes. I realize he's actually Korean, so the LPL probably don't want to be sending a Korean player to represent China at All-Stars, but come on, Rookie deserves better than that. Obviously, Uzi going is fantastic, though. All-Stars don't get going until December. So, again, not sure why Riot is releasing these votes already, but that's just how they're doing it. More 2019 news. Froggen tweeted the other day that he's expecting to play on a team in 2019. Doesn't know if it's going to be in the NA or EU LCS, but he wants to get back on that stage, and I couldn't be happier if I did see him on a squad. He's still living in LA. He seems to be streaming from LA, so you got to expect him to be playing on a North American team. I'm sure there will be people that want to throw out some offers his way. There are some people who are no longer taking up import slots when 2019 rolls around. Impact in spring, not going to be taking up an import slot. Jensen in 2019 summer will not be taking up an import slot. And I know people are saying, get him on to Liquid because they'll have an import slot open because of Impact. Get rid of Pobelter, bring in Froggen. I'm not fully convinced that Steve would pull that trigger. I still think Pobelter was decent at times. I know at Worlds he was a bit of a liability, and he has been multiple times now on the international stage. I'd be okay with Froggen on Liquid. Would that playstyle actually mesh? I guess it probably would with Doublelift. So I've just convinced myself I want Froggen on Team Liquid. Either way, I want him somewhere in the LCS. That's all the time today for League Unlocked. Thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy semifinals on the weekend. My name's Eric. See you next time.